Class, good day to you. Here we are. Week 2 begins now. So, hope you are all refreshed after what appeared by my emails and Facebook messages as a mad dash to the finish of week 1. As a reiteration, your discussion boards are due Monday night at midnight, not Tuesday at midnight. It says Tuesday at 12 a.m., which is Monday night at midnight. So I just want to reiterate that for those of you that missed those announcements the first 5 times or so that we mentioned it. I will have a little bit of grace this first week, but that's all. If you were late. Also, if you're late on your assignment 1-1, still turn it in. You're always better getting marked a little bit off than not doing an assignment at all. I don't typically grade off hugely for not not turning work in. I grade off more for discussion boards that are late, especially if you don't have a good reason or you didn't tell me in advance, because you can't have a good discussion with or get anything out of the discussion if you're posting it when the class is done discussing. So still do them if you didn't and they're late, but your other assignments that you're going to be doing, I won't be as harsh when I mark down on them. We'll be making probably a video or a lengthy little summary, myself and or Rachel Hargis, your TA, who if you were on campus, you met her, but she's posting in Blackboard, and she and I will be making probably videos summarizing just thoughts after we go through everybody's. Be in mind as far as grading times. I've noticed that a lot of students don't understand, like if something was due Monday night at midnight, why they don't get their papers or grades back by Tuesday. Well, that's because there's like 75 of you in FYOP, and that's a lot of work to get done. Some of you haven't turned stuff in yet, and I've got a full-time job on top of teaching. So a week after something is turned in is typically a week after something is due. So we don't start grading until the due date passes. So a week after something is due is typically the time frame when we'll get grades back to you. Sometimes a little longer depending on if it's like the end of the semester and lots of things were due or lots of late work is being turned in or something like that. So that's basically just a FYI. And as far as all your professors go, if your professor is grading stuff within a week and getting it back to you, you should be completely satisfied and give them full marks for their teaching. Now, in terms of you asking, if you email or call or ask for a question on something, that's a day, 24 hours. So if your professor is getting back to you within 24 hours, then they're doing perfect on communication. We don't have please get back to me within 10 minutes. We're not Google or Amazon or Apple or one of these multi-billion-dollar companies with someone waiting with bated breath to get back to you within 5 seconds. All of our professors are juggling multiple things, and so anyway, just to give you an idea of when you should get things back. So yeah, more on the discussion board from last week later this week. I now just want to briefly go over week 2. We are now in wisdom. That is the topic for this week. So the main aspects of this lesson plan are going to be looking at the elements that characterize the genre of wisdom literature, and then to analyze the concept of the retribution principle or retribution theology in wisdom literature and its relevance to the Christian life. Job will be a big help in that endeavor. And then understanding the correspondences between Egyptian wisdom lit and biblical wisdom lit. Why might that be important, you might ask? Well, we'll find out. And explain the relationship between wisdom and other OT theological motives or motifs. Then finally, reading report. Okay, this is key. Please watch this. If you're watching it, you're watching it. If you're not watching it, tell your friends to not email me or Facebook me until they've watched this video and gotten the information. So this week, your reading report. Here are your readings, but here's your non-Bible reading and your Bible reading for further study. This means you do not have to read it. Your assignment will not require you to have read this, and this is essentially supplemental reading. This is this Longman, Meek, and Spencer stuff right here, okay? So you do not have to read this, but they are excellent resources that I would recommend, since you won't have access to Blackboard after this course is up, or this course in Blackboard. Download these and keep them if you don't have time to read them, or print them, whatever you wish. This you do need to read. So obviously Bible reading, that's self-explanatory, and then the Matthews reading, just click on that and read that, and then okay, I'm getting some feedback that maybe the page numbers are a little bit off. So at this point, at least just read the chapter 12 or whatever chapter says prudent living, or chapter 22, whatever chapter says Old Testament wisdom. I know that the course designers, I think, might have been going off a different version that you might have, but this is still accurate. The page numbers might be off, but what is accurate is that you're supposed to read Prudent Living and Old Testament Wisdom from these two books, okay? If the page numbers don't align, don't worry about it. Just read that entire chapter, chapter 12, and that entire chapter, chapter 22. If it's not chapter 12 and 22, read the chapters titled this, Prudent Living and Old Testament Wisdom. Okay, that should get you through. And then this, whatever, if this isn't page 274 to 282, I'll open it right now. I think we've resolved a lot of the issues. We had all sorts of issues with this reading and page numbers looking off, but the content was accurate as far as we could tell. Did they do the whole thing here? Okay, yeah. So they just cut the whole PDF. Don't worry about the page numbers on on this PDF. Just read it. Cool. Okay. All right. So I think that takes you through the reading for this week. So not nearly as much reading as maybe in the past and last week. So, but enjoy that. And then assignment 2.1. All right. So while reading the teachings of Armenamope during week 2, keep an eye out for parallels and similarities. Keep searching until you find at least 3 and write down examples of any you find. Based upon your study of Amenemope and Proverbs, write maximum 250-word blog post that wrestles with the following questions. What do you think about the fact that there are parallels between the book of Proverbs and the literature of the ancient Near East? Are you surprised, encouraged, horrified, or fascinated? How would you explain these parallels? Okay, so what is this getting at? What this is getting at is, if Proverbs isn't the only book that looks like this at all, like what isn't the Bible, or at least Proverbs, not as special as we thought it was? So when you read other literature, that's what this other study is. This is other literature that was circulating in Bible times. Ancient Near East means in Bible times, in the Bible area, Bible times. Okay, so when you read that and you see the reality that there are a lot of similarities between Proverbs and other writings back then, does this surprise you? Should probably, a lot of you. Encourage you, meaning like, oh, that's nice that there's some other books like Proverbs, but a lot of you are probably like, but it's not scripture, so it's probably twisted and leading them into deception. Possibly was. But what do we do with this? Now that you're actually going to read a little bit of it and then make a decision on what do we do with that? What can we learn from it, hopefully? And how are you going to explain why there might be these similarities and what we're to do with it? What is the significance of Proverbs and so forth? If it's similar to another book, is it just like any other book? Is it not really that much more special than some of the other writings that were going around in those days? What do you have to say to that? That's the topic. All right. So again, the idea here is that you're writing kind of a blog. So your blog should read like a personal and candid essay in which you wrestle and reflect upon a certain question or issue. Please be aware that other students will be able to read your blog and respond. MLA formatting is not strictly required. However, you should cite resources if you quote them. What this means is You don't have to use extracurricular or research articles of any kind, but you can. If you do use them, do not plagiarize them and not cite them. But you do not have to use any certain number of works cited or that sort of thing. So in that way, you don't have to use MLA formatting, but you do need to cite your sources or reference or quote them if you are quoting something that's not your work. Okay? These blog posts are due by Saturday at 12 a.m. That means Friday night. After you have posted your blog, read through and comment on at least 2 other students' blog posts. Submit your assignment by the end of this week by clicking on assignment 2.1, a minimum comparative blog title, link above, and create a new blog entry. Okay, so what we're having you do here is essentially this week's discussion board is this. So your assignment 2.1 is we're basically doing a more enhanced discussion board. So let me just, as I'm thinking out loud, hopefully this will make more sense when I go into it. If you go into group discussions, I don't know, you guys probably won't be able to see this the same way I will, but at least for now you get to see kind of what I see in the group. When I go into the group discussion, I don't know what this is. All right. That's all I'm wanting to do here. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have to give you more details on this, but at this point, because I don't think it's set up, I'm going to have to set that up. That's why I went in there. So ultimately, your discussion for this week and your assignment for this week are going to be intermixed together. I'll give you instructions on where you're supposed to post it and that sort of thing. Probably just in the discussion board. This will be essentially where you post it. You will post something here. We'll go ahead and have you turn it in so we can give you a grade for it and that sort of thing. But you can use the discussion board to get feedback. So essentially what we're doing is you're going to take this topic. It will be your assignment 2.1, but you're going to write it as if you're writing a blog post. So a little bit more informal and speaking very much from your opinion and that sort of thing. And then you're going to use the discussion board. This will be due then on Friday night at midnight. That's Saturday at 12 a.m. Friday night. That's Friday night, kids. And then you will have people will be able to comment on it and so forth. But if you just post it here in assignment 2.1 and not in discussion board, no one can comment on it. So you need to take your work here. You'll post it in the discussion board, and then you'll also this says you're going to create a new blog entry, but essentially all I want you to do, we'll grade it in the discussion board, but also right here. I'm pretty sure, but either way, I want you to post it in the discussion board so others can comment on it. Okay, so this is your discussion and assignment for this week. They're one and the same. We do want you to continue working on 4.2, but I don't really have an update on that besides to keep looking at the themes of the Old Testament that you're considering. We'll talk more about that next week, and that's basically it. Pretty simple and straightforward this week. So do your reading. Do assignment 2.1, which will also be your discussion board. Feel free to post on Facebook if you got questions or clarifications on it, or text or email me, whatever. Well, and you should be good to go. All right? Have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. All right? Blessings.